Part 4 should be the final part. Okay, let's this was the cleanup phase. Um I guess we'll go ahead and knock out the little custom bones, and then I'm going to get into some more important things. I think custom bones are what would it be? They're accoutrements. They are fluff. They're pretty, you know. They are not what is necessarily deforming the mesh. So they're just something that's pretty to look at. But you know, everybody wants a pretty rig when they're dealing with this sort of thing. So we'll go ahead and knock that out, and then I'll get to the more important things, i.e., explaining things. There's things that need to be what was the word? They need to be thought about. Things that need to be considered that are much more important than making custom bones. But we'll go ahead and do that because I said I'll do it, and then we're gonna get to some important things. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. So in object mode, we're gonna make another collection. You know what? I already got some made, but if you don't have any made, then how would you know how to make them? Okay, so let's make some. So we're gonna open up another collection. In your outliner, we're gonna do new collection. We're gonna call that custom bones 2. And let's organize this a little bit. So we're going to drag this armature wallet into the armature collection. Go ahead and condense that. And then this custom bones 2, this needs to be in here as well. This wallet, I guess it is in there. And then custom bones 2, we'll drag that out so that it's outside. There we go. All right, so let's select that. Okay, so a custom bone, all it is anything. Essentially, maybe not an empty, I'm not sure, but any sort of mesh, you can make it a custom bone. So we want to, you see where our 3D cursor is? It's not on the world origin. Let's go ahead and center it to the world origin. So in object mode, Shift S, we're going to do cursor to world origin. So now it's there. So then we can know for certain where our mesh is going to appear or spawn in the world. So Shift A, we're going to add in a curve. And that's going to be our custom mesh. All right, so we're going to go into edit mode on that curve. Good habit, naming your stuff. Go ahead and name it. So we're going to call it circle, custom bone. What is this? For the root. All right. And then we're going to place it in edit mode where we want it, right? So we'll just scale it down a wee bit and move it somewhere like right about there. So when you're fiddling with the book or whatever, you can kind of tell that this is going to be what you would grab to move the book. You want it to kind of be intuitive. That's kind of the caveat or the benefit of using these custom bones. They're somewhat intuitive. They need to be. All right, so there's your root bone. And then we're going to tab out into object mode, Shift A, add in another bone. They're meshes right now, but we're going to make them bones. And this one's going to be the deal that opens up the flap, like the little arcing arrow that's going to open up the flap. It's indicative for opening up the flaps. Let's make that. Go into top view. I'm going to switch over to vertex. Whoops, I hate when I do that. The hotkey for switching to vertex is 1. But if you're not in edit mode, it hides collections, and I hate that. Sometimes you move so quickly that you're in the wrong mode, hit the wrong button. That sucks. So let me fix this real quick. Let's see here. Armature 2, I think it's this. I think that's all that got hidden. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the correct mode here. See, I'm in object mode. Now I'm in edit mode. All right, so we're going to hit 1 and cut this deal so I can make the little arrows. Just doing some super basic modeling, that's all. And it's rough and ugly, but it'll be all right. So we'll take this bit here, duplicate that over here, zoom in a little bit because I don't want doubles. You can take all the time in the world that you want to make this pretty. All right, so now we're going to grab this whole bit, scale it down a wee bit, and let me reset the positioning on this armature here because it's open and I want to have it like default basically resetting the transformations. So we're in edit mode on this custom bone, right? So we're going to tab out back into object mode, select your armature, control tab into pose mode, select all your bones with A, and then Alt G. That's going to reset their location, and Alt R is going to reset their rotation. Therefore, now it's in default mode. So that's what I want when I'm setting up these custom bones. So let's go back to object mode, select that deal that we were working on, this mesh, go back in edit mode, and place it where we want it. So it's going to be somewhere like that, and I pretty much will GZ it up a little bit, and GY. All we're doing is just placing this in edit mode where we want it. I think that looks good, and we'll give it a little bit of a twist, something like that maybe. That looks good to me. All right, so I think we're good now. Okay, now to actually make these bones, so to speak, what you do is you're going to select the armature, and we're going to go to our panel here, and you want to look for the, I think it's here, bone properties. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, under bone properties, you want to go to the viewport display, and you see custom shape. It shouldn't be collapsed, but if it is, you just open it up. Custom object, right? So that's why we named our stuff. I forgot to name that last one, though. Let me go ahead and name that real quick. It's just called circle right now, so let's change that to circle dot, what is it? It's a custom bone for the flap. All right. Okay. So go back to your armature. We're doing all this in, I'm sorry, your armature. We're doing all this in object mode. Okay, so custom object. Okay, now we're going to switch over to pose mode. So we can select the bone that we want to basically switch out for the mesh. So let's select this flap bone. We're going to go to that. Remember, it's in the bone properties. Scroll down here to custom shape. And the name that we gave it was circle custom bone flap. And then it switches, right? But it goes way off kilter for some reason. So we want to go to the switch back to object mode. You want to grab that bone, go to edit mode, and we got to fiddle with it there to make the bone correspond in pose mode. It's convoluted. All right, so let's fiddle with this to line it up. I don't know if it's actually mirrored or what, but it's, you know, it's kind of a pain, but it'll be all right. All I'm doing is I'm doing all my, you know, it's kind of like it's mirrored. All right, so we'll say that's good. And it's down below for some reason, so let's see. Pull it up, something like that. So we'll say that's good. And let me see what I got here. Object mode, control tab. We know that it works, but what I was trying to do was let me get this other one real quick. Hopefully it's pretty quick. So object mode. Okay, sorry, getting my mind. Okay, so we got the one done. Let's get the other one done. Control tab back into pose mode. Grab this bone here, and we'll do the same thing. So you're gonna go down to the custom shape. That's under bone properties, and the other one was called custom bone root, and it changes. And then we select the custom bone root. I gotta go to object mode for that. Select that one, and then go to edit mode, and that's where you mess with it. So RX maybe, cool, and then GZ it a little bit, or of course not, because it's all backwards and mirrored. In this case, it happens to be Y. Let's look at it on the side. GY. If it is confusing, the golden one is the one that I have selected. It's the actual mesh that I'm messing with, and then this black one you can see is it's the corresponding armature. You just pretty much have to fiddle with it. It's not terribly hard, but we got it set up. Yeah, I know. I'm over time. Talking to the alarm. The alarm tells me that it's 10 minutes. I'm over time. So I guess uh, hopefully I can make these talking points just to be talking points. All right, so we got it done. We got it done. We got the custom armature. And the reason that we put these custom bones into a collection is so that we can hide them. So they're not in the way looking ugly. All right, so we got the deal set up. Control tab into pose mode. And you got a working rig, right? All right, now, here's a couple of talking points real quick that I want to address. Okay, modifier order importance. So let's quickly go over to object mode and look at some things here. All right, the mesh, right? The mesh is the thing that's going to have the modifiers. So we select our mesh and we go to modifiers. Well, we have a subdivision surface, we have a solidify, we have armature modifier. I like to have my armature at the very top of the stack. The order, how do you say that? Hierarchical order of how you structure your modifier stack is going to depend on what the end result is. I can't give you another analogy than that, but for example, let me think here quickly. You can do an example yourself with a simple mesh, a plane, and add a solidify modifier and then add a subdivision modifier and then switch it. Add the subdivision modifier and then the solidify modifier. You'll have two different results. So the hierarchical structure that you create is going to dictate what the end result is. So with all that said, I want to put my armature modifier at the top. Okay. I don't think that's just personal preference. You want to link the armature. When I say link, that's just a synonym for parent. You want to parent the mesh to the armature at the top of the hierarchy, and then below that, your all your, how do you say, your let me think. What would it be? Your modifiers, there's a word I'm thinking of, but it's not coming to me. Your modifiers after that, subsequent, that's it. Your subsequent modifiers after that armature modifier, you can add all of them that you want, but you probably want that armature modifier to be at the top. I think that's very important. I've harped on it long enough. Okay, speaking of armatures, or not armatures, but modifiers, you can see that the book looks pretty, quote unquote. Well, we have a subdivision modifier in effect. You turn that off, and then you have a solidify modifier in effect. Which actually I can show you that example we were talking about. So this is your subdivision before the solidify, right? Okay. Well, let's switch that. You see the difference? Before we had, it's inverted, but anywho, there's a difference. The outcome is different. So your hierarchical structure will dictate on what your end result's going to be. So in this case, I want to subdivide it first and then solidify it. So yay. That's one point. And the last point is bone orientation, which obviously we should have addressed well before even parenting this, but it was such a simple model, I didn't think it was going to hurt anything. So let's go address that real quick. You're going to go to your armature here, and let's see here, let me think. Okay, we want to go to object properties. Okay, under object properties, you have viewport display. We have axis, right? This is for the entire armature. Okay, I'm going to leave that on the screen. As you can see, the z-axis is up as we would expect. Now, if you go into the armature itself with edit mode, and then we're going to go look at, I think it's here, this object data properties with the little running man, then turn on axes, you get the local axes. Look at that, they're different. So you have the main axis here. This is where that object comes into play. But man, I'm going to run over time. I'm already over time anyways. But local axes, okay? Each bone has its own. They always run down the middle. Just think of an imaginary axis always running down the middle. It's always going to be Y. You see that? It runs down the middle. But on this one, the Y is pointing up, which will be the Z-axis in the, the totality of the armature. And in this one, the y is pointing out that way, which would be the y-axis in the totality. So it can get confusing, but anywho, here's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about locking axis. Okay, when we pivot this, let's go to pose mode. When we pivot this deal here, we're going to rotate this. It's acting all crazy. Hold on, RZ. We're going to rotate this. Now, this Z is on the global. This blue line, I'm running this on the global. But if you notice, let me go ahead and click that. It happens to be on the Z-axis of this actual bone. So we're good. So let's look at our deal here. Under rotation, this is under item, rotation, and pose mode. You have these different modes here. You have quaternion. These are all mathematical, geometric figures. They deal with geometry and mathematics. So these are real things. This isn't a Blender specific thing. These are real geometric mathematical computations. You can look them up online. Okay, for something simple like this, it's not organic. It's only going to spin on 1 or 2 axes. You can switch from quaternion to Euler. So we'll do that. So we're going to switch this to Euler, right? XYZ. And I'm going to lock the Y and the X axis on this one here. Okay? So I got this bone selected. I'm going to make sure I got the right one selected here. I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah. Okay. So I got this one selected. I'm going to lock the Y and I'm going to lock the X. So let's lock the let me reset everything first. So RG. Okay. So let's lock the Y and lock the X. Now when I rotate this, it's only going to open on that Z axis. But remember, that's not the Z axis that's global in the world. It's the Z axis that's local to this bone. If we go into edit mode, you could see that the bone's still there, but that we substituted it for the visual, I can't think of another word for pretty, but the visual prettiness with those custom bones. It's just a substitution. I know I'm being long-winded, but I feel that's very important. I'll leave a link in the description that can go even into more and more and more depth on that. That's I think his name is Vegdal. He made the humane rigging full-blown course. Dude is brilliant. And then also you have another guy, I can't think of his name, unfortunately, but I have a link to his course as well. Brilliant. I love people that are just knowledge seekers. I love that. Okay, I think, so I'm gonna leave that to them. But because it was in some shape or form within the scope of this tutorial, I felt that I should address those issues. But I did it at the end, so I still think it's important myself. Anyways, you got what you wanted. You got what you came for. Okay, so we'll go back to post mode real quick just to show you, you got what you came for. So, cool beans. All right. Hopefully that was all helpful, and let's just reset everything, and that'll be the end of it. And hopefully you can take this and do things with it in your own modeling. All right. You guys have a good day. Let's find this deal here. There we go. All right. You guys have a good day, and God bless.